Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. At the very outset, I would like to express my great happiness at being here in Goa after several years. And I take the opportunity to wish each and every one of you a very happy New Year, a year ahead of spiritual happiness and contentment and enlightenment. It is always a joyous occasion to be in Goa, and especially in this beautiful setting. This is the first time I'm coming here. And I was mentioning this would be much better than an air-conditioned auditorium, because this is the true meaning of air conditioned. We have the natural air and the breeze around us, with the stars above our head, a very suitable setting for a spiritual discussion. The topic for today is the happiness revolution. And at the very outset again, I must point out, I am not here with guns and bombs. Neither am I here to induce anybody to take any violent path of revolution. Generally, the word revolution connotes something that is violent. It is an uprising by a group of disaffected people who are unhappy with the government or with somebody who is responsible for their upkeep. And this is generally how the word revolution has been understood in the modern world. So we have seen so many kinds of revolutions, not only the political revolutions, starting from the French Revolution, the American Revolution, the Soviet-Russian Revolution, the Chinese Revolution. So many political revolutions have happened and will continue to happen. And when they happen, people are very hopeful that there will be happiness at the end of it. But very short-lived is that happiness. The nature of this world is such, it doesn't allow us to remain peaceful, what to speak of happy, for any length of time, even for a short length of time. At every opportunity round the corner lurks some problem, some distress, some complexity, which puts the living entity into bewilderment. Even the most intelligent and qualified of people are apt to be baffled and bewildered by the turn of events in this world. Many times, these events happen unforeseen, unexpected, and create so many problems in our lives. So the very nature of this world, according to Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, it is dukkhalayam ashashvatam. We are all familiar with the word alaya. Alaya means the abode or the residence. Like the Himalaya is the abode of Hima or snow. The Vidyalaya is an abode of Vidya or knowledge. So this world, according to Bhagavad Gita, is the abode of dukkha. So in an abode of dukkha, what possibility is there for us to get happiness? That is the question. If Lord Krishna has already declared this world to be a place full of misery, then is there really any scope at all for us to become happy? And the answer, of course, is that by material means, no, there is no scope for happiness. For real happiness, we have to search at a higher level, at something beyond the ordinary material level. A revolution, the word revolution can also mean some sudden and marked change. Suppose there is a very sudden development in somebody's life. We say there was some revolutionary development that happened in the society or in somebody's life. So unless we have some kind of a spiritual revolution in our life, a spiritual transformation, we will not be able to exercise or understand actually what real happiness is. This brings us to the question of what is real happiness. But before we come to that, I think it is also important to understand what happiness is not. Before we discuss what happiness is, let's see what happiness is not. Today, as we move into the modern era, the philosophy of the times seems to be more and more against any sort of restriction or regulation on anybody's life. The moment we say, please do not do this, please observe this restriction in your life, people are up in arms. because they protest at what they perceive is a restriction on their freedom. So they say, no, happiness means that we should be allowed to do whatever we want without restriction, without any impediment, and any attempt to impose any sort of restriction, any sort of moral impediment or guideline is perceived as being retrograde, as being something that is uncivilized. So civilization is being equated in the modern times, unfortunately, with unrestricted activities. I can eat whatever I want, I can drink whatever I want, I can have relationships with anybody I want. Nothing remains sacred, nothing remains holy in such an atmosphere. And unless we are very careful to distinguish what is the meaning of civilization, what is the meaning of happiness, we will find ourselves in a great deal of trouble, as we indeed see our modern society is in. So this modern philosophy, I was recently in the West, and somebody protested when I was speaking about how we should try to impose voluntarily some restrictions on ourselves in order to achieve a higher happiness. So this gentleman protested and said that that is your thing, but my thing is different. We should all be allowed to do our own thing. So this is the philosophy. I do my thing, you do your thing, we all do our thing. But the common factor is then all of us remain unhappy, trying to do our thing. So this is the streak of very strong independent-mindedness, this unwillingness to submit to any authority at all, which is a form of ego. That I do not want to listen to anybody. I want to do what I want to do. This is a real problem in the material world. If you ask me, what is the biggest problem in the material world, I will not say it is crime or environmental crisis or terrorism or something like that, although these things are undoubtedly very major problems. But our real problem in the modern day world is that we want to do what we want to do. Nobody wants to be told anything. Nobody wants to accept any authority. This is the situation in today's world. Therefore, a child, I was in Australia recently, and they say even the children are taught, always question your parents. Don't just follow what your parents say. You must question them. So from childhood, they are being taught to be irreverential. They are being taught that nothing is sacred for you, save what you think is sacred. Whatever is right for you, you must do. So these are revolutionary ideas that are coming up in the modern time. They are destroying all our symbols of civilization. They are destroying our culture of respect for people who are superior to us, who are older than us, who are more knowledgeable than us. And therefore the culture of children calling their elders, their parents by their first name. So they will call the father John, or they will call the mother Jane, whatever the name is. So where are we heading? This is a revolution that is going on. We have so many social revolutions. And these ideas, these new ways of thinking stem from this idea that I don't want to listen to anybody. I want to do whatever I want to do. And why should I listen to a holy book that should guide my life? My mind should tell me what I want to do. In this situation, how is it possible to be happy? This is a fallacy, a misunderstanding of the modern times, that people think that I can be happy simply by doing whatever I want. So one young man, he asked me one time, you are speaking from Bhagavad Gita, why should I follow Bhagavad Gita? Why should I follow any book? Then I asked him, what would you like to follow? He said, I would like to follow my own thoughts, my own intelligence, my own mind. So I asked him, why is your mind better than some holy book? Your mind also keeps changing, doesn't it? Today you like something, tomorrow you don't like it. Today you have one opinion, tomorrow your opinion is different. So why is your mind more reliable than something that has stood the test of time? Something that has been followed by great stalwarts, by great intellectuals of impeccable credentials and integrity and intelligence. Why should you not follow this book, or at least pay heed to these instructions and try to understand them? Why must the ego be so strong that we think that only what I believe is right, what I think and what my mind says is right? So this is the real problem in the modern day world. So therefore we need to come back to the original thinking of our forefathers. Ancient wisdom has a lot to offer us. And incidentally, that is also one meaning of the word revolution. The word revolution means to start from a point and come back to the original point, isn't it? Just like the movement of a planet around the sun goes around, comes back. So the word revolution also means that we come back to our original position. What our past generations have taught us, all that spiritual wisdom, we have given up because we have been attracted by the lure of the glitter and glamour of this modern day world. The jet set culture, the 5-star culture, this whole attitude that external things are very important, that physical beauty, physical pleasures, good food, and all the material pleasures of the world are the most important things in life. And therefore people are becoming mad after these material things. And every day, unfortunately, we have to read in the newspapers or hear on the television how so many murders are taking place, so much crime is happening, because the lust for more and more is increasing to a feverish pitch. And people think that this is the way we can be happy. But we must remember that all that glitters is not gold. Simply because something is glittering in this glitter and glamour civilization, it doesn't mean that these things will give us happiness. And not certainly in this dukkhalayam ashashvatam. So we need to revisit our ideas, our modern ideas. We must give up our ego and pay heed to what our ancients have said, to what our holy scriptures have said. There is much wisdom in that, much knowledge that we can apply even in the modern situation. And this kind of idea that I want to do everything unrestrictedly and that will give happiness is a recipe for misery and disaster. It cannot happen. Real freedom means to sacrifice our freedom. Now this may seem like a very strange kind of thing we are saying, but this is what the Bhagavad Gita says. The temptations of this world, the urges of the mind that push us to do so many things have to be controlled, have to be regulated. When we calm ourselves down and voluntarily accept restrictions in our life for a higher purpose, for a higher happiness, that is true intelligence according to Bhagavad Gita. And actually this principle is not new to us. We have been doing it every day in our life. A student gives up some temporary invitations or pleasures for the sake of the examination tomorrow. There may be some fellow students who may invite him or her to come out for some program. But the student says, no, I have my examination tomorrow, so I must study. I must give up the tempting offer of this party or whatever it is, because I have to study for tomorrow. If I do not study well, I will not get good marks, my whole future will be jeopardized. So in many ways, all of us experience this principle that is called tapasya. Tapasya means to voluntarily accept some inconvenience temporarily for the sake of higher or longer term benefit or gain or pleasure. And when that higher pleasure and gain that we seek is spiritual pleasure, that is called divya tapasya, tapo divyam yenaka putram. King Rishabdev, one of the great kings in the past, who was the father of Maharaj Bharat, after whom our country is called Bharat, he gave instructions to his sons. Brahma Saukhyam Tvanantam. He said, you should hanker after the spiritual happiness, not the material happiness. Nonam pramattaha kurute vikarma yad indriya pritaya apranoti. Don't simply go after the pleasures of this world, which are very, very scanty and which will actually be a cause of pain. And this kind of pleasure is available even to other species of life. It is not the special privilege that is there only for the human beings. Even the animals and the birds have all these pleasures. But the special prerogative of the human species is that we can ask these questions. Who am I? What is the purpose of my life? What is true happiness beyond the pleasures of the senses, beyond the pleasures of this world, beyond the glitter and glamour and the razzle-dazzle of this world? There is something deeper. What is that happiness? So King Rishabdev tells his sons, my dear sons, you are princes. You are going to be kings. Do not become influenced by your wealth, by your position, your status, your prestige, and misuse this position and wealth just for enjoyment of this world. This will not make you happy. Even though you are very wealthy and you are going to be kings tomorrow, please remember, you should not avoid doing tapasya, austerity. But that austerity should be divyam. It should be divine. For obtaining what he calls Brahma Sukha. Sukha or happiness that is spiritual, not that which is material. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna speaks about three kinds of sukha or happiness. The first kind, he says, is Sattvika Sukha. I will not tell you too many Sanskrit shlokas. My experience is people run away. So we will try to keep it very simple. So Lord Krishna says the first kind of happiness is Sattvika Sukha. These three gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, have been described by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, and a very, very important concept for all of us to understand. You can analyze anything and everything in this world according to the principles of Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Sattva is the mode of goodness. The mode of goodness is characterized by knowledge, by peacefulness, by compassion, kindness, forgiveness, such things. It makes one happy. Rajas is the mode of passion. The mode of passion is characterized by a lot of hankering for more pleasure, for the happiness of this world, for power, for prestige, for money, for enjoyment. So there is endless hankering. The mode of ignorance is tamas or tamoguna. That is characterized by intoxication, by laziness, procrastination, excessive anger, excessive violence. So happiness is also characterized according to these three modes, according to Lord Krishna. He says, Yattad agre visham iva, that which in the beginning is like visha or poison, but pariname mritopamam, but at the end is like amrita or nectar, that is called Sattvika Sukha. Atma Prasada, it is based on spiritual development. It leads to a cultivation of spiritual knowledge and values. So that happiness is called Sattvika Sukha. Rajasic Sukha is the opposite. That which appears as nectar, amruta, in the beginning, but is visha at the end. And all the worldly pleasures are like that. They all look very tempting, very attractive, and therefore the people in general plunge themselves into such sensual pleasures, thinking that this is happiness. And the whole civilization, the whole society is based on this ye dil mange more principle. We want more of this, we want more and more and more. So the Rajoguna or Rajasic Sukha is characterized by always being dissatisfied because the person wants more and more and more. There is never any satisfaction in the mind. And if there is no satisfaction, where is the question of Sukha? There is no question of Sukha without Shanti. Then there is the Tamasic Sukha. This Tamasic Sukha, Lord Krishna says, is born out of Nidra, Alasya, and illusion, Pramada. And it is characterized by delusion from beginning to end. And it is blind to any spiritual knowledge. It is a cause of misery from beginning to end. It is only falsely called as happiness in the mode of ignorance, tamasic sukha. But actually it is not sukha. The sukha of a person who is in an inebriated or intoxicated condition, is it happiness? If there is a person who's intoxicated and is lying on the street, and we approach him and tell him, please rise, do not lie in this very deplorable condition. It is a miserable situation to be in. There is a likelihood that the person may say, no, I am very happy here. So this is called Tamasika Sukha. So human beings are not meant for Tamasic Sukha. To some degree, Rajasic Sukha, yes, it may be there because everybody is not a sage. But Sattvic Sukha, surely everybody should have some experience of it. And the Rajasic Sukha can also take on means not just in terms of physical sensual pleasures, but also in terms of more subtle things like power, prestige, etc. Conquest of the world, being the number one. Today all our parents are forcing their children, be the number one in your class. So it starts from the home, where the children are generally speaking not taught sattvic values, but they are taught how you must become always better than the other person. You must achieve more than the other person. We have all heard of the famous king Alexander from Macedonia, Greece. And he came all the way up to the Sindhu river, the Indus river. And because he had traveled such a long distance, all his soldiers were very tired. So they said, Alexander, we want to go back home now. We cannot continue fighting. So Alexander returned. On the way back, however, when he had reached some place in the Middle East, he fell sick. He was very young. He was, I think, about 32 years of age at that time. And his doctors, his royal physicians, they diagnosed him and they found that they could not cure him. And they told him, Alexander, you have very little time left to live now, only a few days. The kind of disease that you have has no cure. And we are not in a position to help you, so we are very sorry. Naturally, King Alexander was extremely upset. He was disturbed, but he gathered himself. And then he called together his generals and his ministers. And he said, I am going to live only for a few days more. I am a person who is about to die. Now all of you have been my most trusted assistants. Now I have 3 dying wishes. Will you all please fulfill these wishes of mine? So they said, Alexander, certainly we are here with you even to give up our life for you. So please tell us, what is it you want? So he said, I have 3 wishes. The first one, he says, when I die, as you carry my body to the burial ground, whatever wealth that I have accumulated in the course of my conquests, you please take all those jewels and those diamonds and strew them all over the street in front of my body as you take it to the graveyard. Now the generals and the ministers didn't understand why he wanted to do this, but they said, all right, if that is what you want, Alexander, we will do it. What is your second wish? My second wish is, he said, that all my doctors, they should carry my coffin on their shoulders. That was also another strange wish, but they said, all right, we will do as you say. And what is your third wish? He said, the third wish is that when you bury me, you should see that my hands are placed outside the coffin and my palms are exposed and open. So they said, all right, Alexander, we will do so, but you please tell us what is the meaning or the intention behind these 3 mysterious last wishes that you have. So he said, all right, please sit down, let me tell you. He said, I had a dream of conquering the world. I wanted to become the most mighty conqueror and a big king. I wanted the whole world at my feet. And indeed, I have acquired the title of Alexander the Great because I have almost conquered half the world. And still, I have not been able to conquer death. And just now see my condition. I am only 32 years of age. But all the wealth that I have at my disposal cannot help me to live even for 1 second more. What use is all this wealth that I have when at the end of it, I am only meeting with disappointment? I thought all this wealth will bring me happiness. But where is it bringing me today? I am dying not in my country, not with my family members, but I am dying in a foreign land. I am dying without any hope of even being able to reach my home. So therefore I wanted you to strew all the wealth that I have accumulated on the road just to display the futility of this wealth. It has not made me happy. This conquest has not made me happy. And as far as the physicians, the doctors carrying my coffin, well, even they have not been able to help me. Those very people upon whom we depend as people who will save us, who will bring us happiness by curing us of illness, even they have not been able to help me. They have not been able to avert death for me. So they should be the ones who will carry my coffin, my body, as it goes to the graveyard. And Alexander, what about the third wish where you wanted your hands to be extending outside the coffin and your palms displayed? He said, this I want to show to the whole world, that even though I had so much wealth, I had so much power, as the mighty conqueror Alexander the Great, when I am leaving this world, I am going with empty hands. I am carrying nothing with me as I leave this world. So what is the use of all my efforts to conquer the world, to earn so much money, when at the end of it, this is my condition, that I am dying here in a foreign land like this? So the lesson to learn from this is that in the beginning, yes, it looks intoxicating. The idea for a king to be able to conquer so many worlds, to earn so much wealth, the very thought is very intoxicating. But then at the end of the day, there is misery. Pariname vishamiva. So at the end, there is like poison. In the beginning, it appears very nice. Yat tad agre mritopamam. Amrita upamam. It appears just like amrita, like nectar in the beginning. that I will get money, I will enjoy, I will have power. So what is the use of all these material accomplishments when in the end it is going to lead to misery? So some thoughts that we should reflect on. What is the meaning of all the struggle in our life? We struggle to such an extent we do not think about the higher goals of life. A very, very important thought for all of us. So therefore, if we move on from material subjects to spiritual subjects, then we will enter the realm of true happiness. The very basic knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita is that we are the Atma. We are spiritual entities. We are not this body. This body is a material thing. It is simply a lump of flesh and blood and bones and so on. This body is given value because the Atma is within. The moment the Atma leaves the body, it is death. Death is merely destruction of the body, but not destruction of the Atma, the eternal soul. And when the Atma leaves the body, we go to the next body, and then to the next body. This is called samsara chakra. The chakra of samsara, which means birth and death. We accept one body, then this is destroyed. We take another body, that is destroyed. And this has been going on and on and on from time immemorial. And it will continue for time eternity unless we recognize that spiritual understanding is the solution to all our problems. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna has told us that we must surrender to Him. And by this process of surrender, we will be able to attain love for Him. This is called Bhakti. This Bhakti is not the love of this world. The love of this world also becomes Vishamiva, becomes like poison. It may be like nectar in the beginning. So many times we unfortunately again have to read stories of how so many people come together being attracted in what they think is love, and then the separation is so bitter. This is the painful truth of the modern day world, or indeed of the world itself. So the love of this world is not real love. The love of this world is driven by selfish interest. The purest thing that we can come to in terms of love in this material world is the love for the mother for her little child. Because there is as much selflessness there as you can get. But even the other day I read in the newspaper, one lady killed her 2 small children because the 2 children happened to come into the place where she was with another person who was not her husband. So she killed her 2 children. So even the sanctity and the purity of the love of the mother for the small child, which is such a sublime love in general, even that nowadays has no meaning because this Rajasic Sukha has become the topmost priority for everyone. So therefore the love that Lord Krishna speaks about in Bhagavad Gita is Bhakti. And this Bhakti is only meant for God. It is and for things connected to God. This Bhakti or love is synonymous with happiness. Because even in ordinary love, when we love somebody, we get some happiness out of that. So you can imagine how much happiness there will be if we love God. This is true happiness. A spiritual revolution where we can all become devotees or lovers of God. That is the revolution that we need in our life and in the society to bring real peace and happiness. We can see so many great saints in our country in the past, and even in other lands, even in other religions actually, we see. They have become intoxicated by bhakti, and they have relished such a superior grade of happiness that we cannot imagine. This is actually our birthright. as people who are born in the holy land of Bharatvarsha, we have such a deep spiritual culture here. We have great scriptures like the Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Upanishads, the Puranas. So we have to take refuge of these scriptures, these holy books, to give us a way out of our bewildered situation at the moment, so we can come to a higher spiritual understanding that will give us real happiness. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a very beautiful verse. I cannot avoid speaking some Sanskrit verse, so please pardon me. Tadvag visargo janataka viplavo yasmin pratishlokam abadhavatyapi namanyanantasya yashonkitani shinvanti gayanti grananti sadhavaha. This is a shloka or a verse spoken by the great saint devotee Narada. Narada is speaking to his disciple Vedavyas, who is the compiler of the Vedas and the Vedanta and the Puranas and the Mahabharata and so on. So far, Vedavyas has compiled only what are called the Karma Kanda scriptures of the Vedas. It is a section of the Vedas in which there are some books that give us some injunctions or rules and regulations and modes of worship to get some material benefits in this world. So if you want some money, you do a certain kind of puja. You want a good wife or a good husband, do a certain kind of a puja to some particular deity. You want to remove some obstacles in your business, then you do something, some form of worship. You have a disease, you want to get rid of it, there is another kind of worship. You want some power, you want to be a king or some in a very powerful position, there's certain kinds of worship to be done. So this is called the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas. So Vyasadeva had compiled this for the benefit of those who would not be on the spiritual platform. You see, this kind of religion is not spiritual. This kind of religion is ordinary religiosity, which is like a vehicle for some material pleasure. Still, it is pious. Because at least if somebody wants to be wealthy and he or she follows the Karma Kanda process, at least they don't go and rob a bank to be wealthy. At least they don't become corrupt and take some bribes to become wealthy. At least they're following a prescribed process given by our Shastra. But nevertheless, this is not a very elevated state of consciousness. So when we look at religion or dharma as a means for attaining some material benefits, that is not something that is spiritual. Better than doing something that is immoral or irreligious, but still it is not the best. This cannot give us happiness. So Naradji tells Vyas, you have only written such scriptures which will mislead the people in general who do not have spiritual understanding. And they will think that the purpose of dharma is to use religion as a means for material advancement. So you have made a big mistake, O dear Muni. Of course, for us, Vedavyas is very exalted, he is worshipable. But Narad is his guru, so the guru has every right to admonish a disciple. So we cannot intervene in the process between these two elevated souls. We can only stand and hold folded arms to both these great souls. So Narad Muni is admonishing Vyasadeva. And he tells him, therefore, you must write some literature which will create a revolution in the minds of the people at large, who are generally speaking engaged in many sinful activities, who do not understand this bhakti concept, who do not understand that we have to surrender to Lord Krishna and become his pure bhaktas, his devotees. So you must write such a literature that will only contain the messages and pastimes of the Supreme Lord Sri Hari, Sri Krishna. something completely pure and spiritual that is not tainted by any form of material self-interest. You should not try to tempt them in this book, in this literature, by offering certain material benefits for studying this book or by following its instructions. And thereafter, Vyasadeva wrote his magnum opus, not the Vedanta Sutra, not the Upanishads, but the great Bhagavata Purana, the Srimad Bhagavatam. And it is in this connection that Naradji speaks this verse to Vyasadeva. He says, all literature and all speech in this world should be considered sublime, should be considered superior and worthy of listening or hearing to or reading, if it contains spotless descriptions of the glories and the pastimes and messages of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. And even, by the way, if there is some mistake in the language, if there are some grammatical errors, if there is some mistake in syntax, if the language is not very polished, doesn't matter. The important thing is the subject is sublime. It is sincere and authorized glorification of the Supreme Lord Sri Hari. If you simply do that, then you will be able to do great good to the world. So tad vak, vak means words. So those words, visargaha, which are created, whether in the form of a book or a poem or something, janatagha viplavo. Janata means people, agha means sin. Viplava means a revolution. So please create those words, write those words in your compositions, which will create a revolution in the sinful lives of the people at large. Yasmin pratishlokam abadhavatyapi. Even though some of the words in such compositions may be imperfect or grammatically incorrect, but because namani anantasya yashonkitani yat, because they are the glorification of that Supreme Lord, they will purify the hearts of these people. And they will ensure that these people do not lead an impious or sinful life. And therefore the sadhavaha, great saints and sages in history, they like to hear about these things, speak about these things. They accept such narrations as their life and soul. So therefore, my dear sage, please compile such literature by which people will become attracted to Lord Krishna, so that they don't become simply captivated and enamored by the glitter and glamour of this external world. So write the Srimad Bhagavatam, and Vyasadeva in all humility folds his hands and says, yes, my dear master, I will do the same. And then he compiled this famous Srimad Bhagavatam, which contains the glories of the descriptions of Lord Krishna's activities, his avatars, his message, his leelas in different lands, especially in Vrindavan. And just by hearing such messages and pastimes, we can experience so much happiness, so much joy. Only a person who tastes it, who relishes such happiness, will be able to understand this. It is a simple activity. Just sit and hear the messages of Lord Krishna. That in itself will give us so much happiness. It cannot be understood in some scientific or so-called rational way. Because such narrations are very potent, they are very spiritual, and they purify our heart of all the tendencies we have to commit sin in this world. What is sin? A sin is a violation of the rules and regulations that God has placed for us in this life. Just as a crime is a violation of the laws of the state. And sin is a violation of the laws of God. So just as a crime causes one to become punished and to become imprisoned, where the freedom is lost, it is restricted. Similarly, performing sinful activity creates punishment, which comes in the form of dukkha, whether it is disease or whether any other form of misery in this world, and it creates bondage. So the modern philosophy, which I was describing at the beginning of my talk today, where people think that they want to unrestrictedly try to enjoy any and every pleasure in this world, that is actually something that will cause them further bondage. It is not freedom. It is not freedom to simply do anything and everything we like. Today people are thinking in terms of rights. It is my fundamental right to do something. Why should anybody interfere with my fundamental right to do this, to do that? Yes, certainly. In any civilized society, every individual should have rights. Why only individual? Every animal, every bird, every plant has its rights. So we should not be selective about rights. If we are very conscious about our rights, we should be conscious about the rights of the poor animals whom we are killing for our food. We should be conscious about the environment which we are destroying for our own selfish purposes. And furthermore, in this understanding or this passion for rights, we are forgetting our duties. Do we not have duties as well? The hallmark of a civilized society is not only that the members in that society live with dignity and with rights, so that they are so mature, they are so evolved in their thinking that they give more emphasis to their duties than to their rights. So the idea that I have my fundamental rights and I would like to enjoy in any way which way I can is a recipe for further bondage and misery. So therefore intelligence means to listen to these great sages who say, no, yes, it is your right, but cap your rights. Regulate your rights with higher duty. Inasmuch as you have a duty to all living entities in this world, you have a duty to God, you have a duty to yourself to be very happy. And true happiness will come when we surrender to Lord Krishna. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Lord Krishna says in this essential verse of the Bhagavad Gita, my dear Lord Krishna, I beg your pardon, my dear Arjuna, please forget all other varieties of dharma. Simply surrender unto me. I will protect you from all papa, all sin. Do not worry, do not fear. So when we surrender to Lord Krishna, what does it mean? It means that we follow his instructions. That is a very basic meaning of the word surrender. So what are Lord Krishna's instructions in Bhagavad Gita? Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji namaskuru ma me vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. My dear Arjuna, do 4 things. Man mana, always think of me with love. Mad bhaktaha, bhava mad bhaktaha, become my devotee. You always offer your obeisances to me, mam namaskuru, and always worship me. If you do these 4 things, I assure you, you will come back to me. You will attain true happiness in life. Very, very simple things. But the simplest things are the greatest truths in life. One doctor was telling me that there are many patients who come to him who don't really need any medicines. They can be treated just by a few words of counseling. And in some cases, they can be treated just by some simple kitchen remedies like gargling with salt water and so on. But he said, when I do that, the patients think that I'm not a good doctor. So they are satisfied only when I write some long list of medicines. So he said, and I have to do like that. So in this material world, we are always looking for complicated solutions. The simplest solutions are there. Lord Krishna says, just become my bhakta, just become my devotee, and you will attain all perfection, all happiness. You know, one time there was a guru. He had his ashram. So one person, young man, came to seek enlightenment. He went to the Guru and said, Guruji, I want from you some special mantra that is so special that it can transform my life. Something that is very unique. Revolutionary mantra, please give me. So the Guru said, not now. You come, you serve here, do seva here first. I want to see that you are qualified to receive this mantra. Give up your ego. Serve in a very simple way. I will test you for 6 months. So then the prospective disciple did that. 6 months were over. He came back to the Guru. Guru said, no, another 6 months. Continue. So he did it for another 6 months. And then after 1 year, he went to the Guru and said, so Guruji, please tell me, 1 year I have worked very sincerely. I have followed your every instruction. Please give me that magic mantra which I have been waiting for. So the Guru gave him a particular mantra. It was a very simple mantra. And he said, this is the mantra. But be careful. Don't tell it because it's a very secret mantra. He said, all right. He was very happy that it was such a secret mantra that he got. So he went away. And when he went to the next lane, there were some people sitting there who were chanting that exact same mantra. So he went to the Guru. He said, you told me this was the most secret mantra and nobody knows what is the meaning of this mantra, what it is. But just in the very next lane they are chanting, everybody is singing this mantra. That means you have deceived me. So he says, no, my dear son, I have not deceived you. But the young man was not in a position to understand. He said, all right, wait a moment. So the Guru went inside and he came out with a stone. He said, look, you do one thing. You take this stone, go to the market, don't sell it. But just go to different people in the market, different merchants, and ask them, what is the value of this and whether they're willing to purchase it from you and at what price. He said, all right. He went to the market. The first shop he encountered was a greengrocer. He was sitting with some vegetables and things like that. So he said, this young man said, will you accept this stone from me? I have come to sell it to you. So the greengrocer said, I am sitting here to sell, not to buy. But anyway, you look like a very good man, young man. So I don't want to disappoint you. So I can give you a little palak, I can give you a little, some sabji, some vegetable here. Because what can I use this for? I can maybe use it as a weight on my weighing scale. Maybe I can use it for that. Since you have come with so much hope, I don't want to disappoint you. So the price for this is only a little bit of vegetable. He says, no. So he went to the next shop. The next shop belonged to some other merchant. He also did not understand the value of it. He also gave him a similar reply. Finally, after going to so many merchants, he came to a jeweler's shop. So he showed that stone to the jeweler. The jeweler looked at the stone, he examined it carefully, and he looked at this young man again and again. He said, this stone can be with only two kinds of people. Either a king or a thief. And you look like neither to me. So please tell me, where did you get this stone from? He said, I'll tell you later, but please tell me what is the value of this. Are you willing to buy this? He said, I don't have enough money to buy this. So, what is the value of this? The value, it is unlimited in its value. I cannot tell you anything more than this. So then the disciple went back to the Guru. He gave him and he said, Yes, this is the value. I thought it was just an ordinary piece of stone. All the merchants in the market, they thought this was some ordinary stone. He said, yes. So you see, the same mantra may be chanted by so many people, but not everybody will understand its true meaning. So don't take it lightly just because many people know it, or just because you have heard it before, or just because other people do not understand its true meaning. So this mantra that I have given you with the meaning of it. This is a very secret mantra because the meaning of it is very confidential. The Bhagavad Gita, for example, is a book that is popular everywhere. It is in every single library of the world probably. But how many people really understand the true message of Bhagavad Gita? Actually, most people in India, when we speak of Bhagavad Gita, they say that Bhagavad Gita means that that work is worship, that we should simply do as much work as we can. But that is not really the essential message of the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita speaks of Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. And Lord Krishna ultimately explains that all these yogas ultimately culminate in bhakti or love for Him. So this process of loving Krishna is the essential message of the Bhagavad Gita. That is what Lord Krishna has spoken this message to Arjuna for. There cannot be any other purpose because Arjuna is a bhakta of Krishna. So when Krishna speaks to his bhakta, there can only be discussions on bhakti, not on any other topic. So in this way, Narad Muni's instruction to Vyasadeva was to speak about bhakti. And when we speak about chanting of Lord Krishna's names, we should not take it lightly. We should not think this is just any other name we are chanting also so often. We have so many people whose name may be Krishna, maybe Govind, maybe something else, which are God's names. But we should remember what we are speaking when we are reciting these names. When we give our children names that are names of God, every day we are chanting these names. So better to give our children names that are connected to God rather than calling them Tommy or Bunty or something like that, which is very popular these days, or neutral names. Give them some devotional names. So we will constantly chant the names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is a mantra everybody has heard in India. But not everybody understands the value of it. Just like the merchants in the market did not understand the value, only one jeweler understood. So similarly, mantras like this, which contain the names of Lord Krishna, they are immeasurable in value. Chanting these holy names of the Lord with great faith and devotion can create a complete revolution in this world, a revolution of divine love. Simply by chanting these holy names of Lord Krishna, all the harmful tendencies in our heart will be erased, and true love for Lord Krishna, true happiness will emerge in our heart. Such a simple process. Our ammunition for this revolution is not guns and bullets. Our ammunition are the holy names of Lord Krishna, which can create this revolution. Our ammunition is the beautiful pastimes and narrations of Lord Krishna given in scriptures like the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita. This is our ammunition. The divine love of Lord Krishna, this bhakti, this is our ammunition. What bullets and guns and anger and power, physical power cannot do, love can do. Especially divine love. And this is a solution to all the problems in our life, whether in our personal life, in our family life, in our social life, national life, or at a global level. In the verse just before the one that I quoted from Narad Muni, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, he mentions another verse in which he says that those words that are not descriptions of the glories of the Supreme Lord are like places of pilgrimage for crows. Tad vayasam tirtham. Vayasa means a crow. Na yatra hamsa niramanti ushikshaya. Those who are swan-like, they do not go into these subjects and activities that are relished by those who are interested only in worldly life. So the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam urge us to be swan-like. A swan is a very graceful, elegant and beautiful bird that is found only in beautiful places of natural scenic beauty. So similarly, as human beings, we should try to be swan-like. We should only read books that are of such devotional content. We should only have discussions which are of such devotional content. We should associate as much as possible with people who are similarly devotionally inclined. We should mold our life in such a way, in such a swan-like way, that we will become pure at heart, that our heart becomes full with bhakti. Then we will be able to spread this bhakti, this love everywhere, and spread this happiness. This is the real revolution that we can do. I thank you all very much for your very kind and patient attention. You have been a wonderful audience, I must say. I did not notice several people sleeping. I could see most people were very, very alert. So I thank you for your kind attention. Do we have an opportunity for questions here? Is it possible?
You can.
Yes, if any of you would like to ask any questions, please feel free to do so. Before we go to questions, I have an important announcement to make.
Please be seated for 2 minutes more.
I beg your pardon?
Any questions?
Yeah. What was the first part of the question? About Indra, the king of heaven. Yes? So was he Rajasic or Sattvic? That's a very good question. Generally, Indra is Sattvic. The demigods, the devatas, are Sattvic in nature. But you see, it is not possible to maintain a pure Sattvic personality when one is exposed to so much of opportunities for pleasure in this world. So even Indra gets affected by the Rajasic mentality. And that is why he tried to disrupt the Govardhan Puja of Lord Krishna. And then Lord Krishna had to lift the Govardhan hill on his little finger. So even the devatas, they also get affected by the Rajaguna. So what to speak of us ordinary human beings living on the earth. So therefore it is so important for us to try to cultivate this pure lifestyle of bhakti, so that the Rajasic and Tamasic mentalities will not affect us. Okay? Thank you.
I think all of us must join hands for this wonderful, lovely session, and it's really revolutionary. Fantastic, fabulous. And I must say that you also deserve a big round of applause for yourself for being such a nice audience.